Most people think Caitlin Clark's biggest challenge in the WNBA is proving her skills to the league. But what if I told you that her toughest battles are actually off the court? Despite admiration from NBA legends like Stephen Curry and LeBron James, Caitlin faces resistance and envy from within the WNBA itself. But here's the twist. Larry Bird, one of the greatest players in history, just broke his silence with advice that could not only silence her critics, but change her entire career path. Stick around to see how Bird's words could transform everything for Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's journey to basketball stardom didn't happen overnight. From her high school days in Indiana to her record-breaking performances in college, she's been building her reputation step by step. But this isn't just another athlete making waves. Clark's rise feels more revolutionary, almost disruptive in the world of basketball. Her playing style, which combines deadly shooting range with an intense competitive spirit, has drawn attention from some of the biggest names in the sport. Yet there's an undeniable split between how the NBA views her versus the WNBA's reaction. From the NBA side, the admiration came early. Stephen Curry, who redefined the way basketball is played with his deep-range shooting, was one of the first to speak up about Clark's talent. For Curry, Clark wasn't just another shooter. She was someone who played with a confidence and flair that mirrored his own approach to the game.
Her range, her three-point shooting overall, her flair for testing her range every night and knowing that the other team's going to try to take it away. And she's fearless. No shot is a bad shot, and when you can shoot it as well as she can.
He noted that watching her was like seeing a reflection of his younger self. Her ability to take long-range shots effortlessly in clutch moments felt reminiscent of his own rise in the NBA. In an interview, Curry expressed his admiration, explaining how Clark's shooting often steals the spotlight, but that her real talent goes much deeper.
Unseen, once she crosses half court, she's within her range. It's always a threat. Biggest thing is how she balances that and her playmaking ability to get everybody else involved.
Curry saw something that many might overlook: Clark's court vision, her instinctive playmaking, and her ability to elevate the entire team. According to Curry, Clark isn't just a shooter. She's a complete player with a skill set that challenges traditional views of women's basketball. He's watched her control the pace of the game, make sharp passes, and keep a level head even in the tensest situations. Therefore, Curry wasn't just giving her a compliment. He was sending a message that Caitlin Clark was a player who could reshape the game, much like he did.
The cool part is the way that she plays and her range and the level of difficulty on her shots is obviously a very close comparison to the way that I play.
I was going to say Caitlin Clark's been compared to you.
Yeah, but I think it almost robs her of like the rest of her game because she's such a good floor, she has her overall, floor game. She's racking up, close to triple doubles every night, and
right.
Her shooting ability is, it's her superpower.
But Curry's endorsement was only the beginning. Just as the basketball world was coming to terms with Curry's praise for Clark, another powerhouse stepped in: LeBron James. Known for his own ability to carry teams on his back, James recognized something special in Clark during her explosive performances in the NCAA tournament. LeBron has seen plenty of young players come and go, but there was something about Clark's poise, her fearlessness, that caught his attention.
The one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. Don't get it twisted. Don't get up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA.
After watching her lead her team in high-stakes moments, he couldn't help but draw comparisons to his own early days in the NBA.
LeBron, Ron, or even King James. Whatever you call the McDonald Boys Player of the Year, call him a winner.
You've seen him dominate so many times. Can he dominate against players this good?
Well, I think he can because he's so skilled and he's so physically advanced at this stage of his development.
Chris Paul to LeBron James. That didn't take very long. You came in here to watch the game. Would you walk out saying he was clearly the best player on the floor tonight?
Oh, without question. think he is, without being disrespectful to the other players, he's a man among boys.
Now, a lot of these other high school players that have gone from high school to the NBA have taken a couple of seasons to get adjusted, even Kobe Bryant. Are you ready to contribute right away in the NBA?
I think so.
LeBron is no stranger to the pressures of being a young star with the weight of a team on his shoulders. And in Clark, he saw a reflection of that journey. LeBron didn't just praise her for her skill. He pointed out that Clark's presence would bring a lot of great things to the WNBA, elevating the league's profile. But he also offered her some personal advice. Stay focused on the game and don't let the noise distract you.
But I'm rooting for Caitlin because I've been in that seat before. I've walked that road before. There's a very small number of men and women that actually get to live out their dream of playing a professional sport. And we have grown-ass men and women out here doing whatever they can to try to make sure that does not happen. That is the weirdest thing in the world, but it is what it is, and I'm glad that Caitlin has a great head on her shoulder.
For LeBron, Clark isn't merely a talented player. She represents a force capable of changing the narrative around women's basketball. He knows how media pressure can become a distraction, so his advice to Clark was simple. Ignore the noise and keep pushing.
My advice to Caitlin, and my advice to anyone that comes in with this, this level of notoriety, out of this world expectation, whatever the case may be, I just think it's all about having, be a horse, man. The Kentucky Derby, put your blinders on, go to work, show up to work, punch your clock in, prepare yourself, work on your game, work on your craft, kind of keep your mouth shut, and just learn from the vets. When they ask, you voice your opinion if they want your opinion, man, early on, because everybody is looking for you to say anything and they're gonna splice it and cut it and make it a negative thing. And I think for her, the one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. I saw for the first time that they had a chartered plane.
Yet the response from the WNBA side was far more complicated. Unlike the NBA legends, who seemed to welcome her with open arms, Clark's presence stirred a mix of reactions among WNBA players and fans. Instead of receiving universal praise, Clark's arrival sparked feelings that ranged from admiration to envy. For some, her rise felt too fast, too sudden, as though she was encroaching on a league with its own established stars and dynamics. The division was clear. While NBA stars rallied around her, Clark's welcome in the WNBA was met with a mix of praise and reservation. But why this divide? Some suggest it's Clark's style of play. Her approach, bold, confident, and unapologetically competitive, aligns more closely with the NBA's intense, fast-paced game than the traditional style seen in the WNBA. Her swagger on the court, her ability to hit deep shots, and her knack for taking control in high-pressure moments make her feel like a disruptor. However, it's exactly this quality that drew the attention of another basketball legend who knew what it was like to break boundaries. Caitlin Clark hails from Indiana, the heartland of basketball. Growing up surrounded by the game, her style and competitive edge were forged in the intense basketball culture of the Midwest. This connection to Indiana brought inevitable comparisons to Larry Bird, one of basketball's most revered figures. Bird, like Clark, wasn't just a skilled player. He was a phenomenon. His work ethic, his no-nonsense approach, and his fierce competitiveness made him a household name. And when Clark began breaking records and turning heads with her relentless drive, fans couldn't help but draw parallels to Bird's legendary career. But it wasn't just fans who noticed. Magic Johnson, Bird's longtime rival, weighed in on the conversation. Johnson saw Clark's brewing rivalry with Angel Reese and couldn't help but be reminded of his own storied battles with Bird in the 1980s. For Magic, rivalries weren't just about competition, they were about elevating the sport. His rivalry with Bird had brought unprecedented attention to the NBA, drawing fans and media interest that transformed the league. Johnson believed Clark and Reese had the potential to do the same for the WNBA. But in his typical fashion, Magic also offered a reminder. Popularity doesn't make a player the best.
They're going to be tested
by these incredible women who've been in the league for a long time. Caitlin is the most popular WNBA player, but she's not the best at this time. Just like Larry and I were not the best when we entered the league. We became the best later on by our play. Caitlin still has to play great to become the best WNBA player.
According to Magic, Clark still has to prove herself, just as he and Bird had to in their early careers. He explained that while Clark is the most popular player right now, popularity alone isn't enough. She'll need to continue honing her skills and prove game after game that she belongs among the best. It wasn't a critique as much as a challenge, a reminder that the path to greatness is long and requires constant growth. Magic's words were both a compliment and a reality check, highlighting the journey that Clark still has ahead of her. And then, after weeks of speculation, Larry Bird finally broke his silence. Bird, known for his quiet demeanor and private life, had watched from the sidelines as Clark's story unfolded. But now he felt it was time to offer his perspective. Bird, who had faced his own share of critics throughout his career, had a message that resonated with anyone who's been under the spotlight. Focus on your game, not the noise around you. In his statement, Bird reminded Clark that the critics will always be there, ready to tear down what they don't understand. But he assured her that in the long run, those voices don't matter. What you're doing now will be remembered forever, Bird said. The people tearing you down, they'll fade away. For Bird, this wasn't just advice for a young player. It was a life lesson. He knew firsthand that greatness often comes with criticism, but true legends stay focused on what really matters, their love for the game. Bird's advice carried the weight of experience. He understood that while Clark's popularity and talent have brought her fame, the pressure and scrutiny could easily become distractions. By telling her to ignore the critics, Bird was offering her a path to keep growing without being weighed down by outside opinions. He wanted her to see that the real legacy isn't built on public approval, but on staying true to the passion that brought her here in the first place. So here we are, watching Caitlin Clark at the center of a unique moment in sports history. With NBA legends like Stephen Curry and LeBron James backing her up, and icons like Magic Johnson seeing her rivalry as a way to elevate the sport, Clark finds herself in a position few athletes ever reach. And at the heart of it all, Larry Bird's words stand as both support and a challenge. He's given her the wisdom to withstand the critics, but also the push to keep pushing forward, proving herself in every game. And yet, as we wrap up, the real story isn't over. It's just beginning. With legends watching her every move, the question remains, will Caitlin Clark rise to the occasion, leaving a mark that redefines the WNBA? Or is there more to prove before she can truly stand alongside the greats? The only thing certain is that we're witnessing the start of something extraordinary. And with every game, every rivalry, every record she breaks, Clark is shaping a legacy that could forever change the landscape of basketball. But for now, as Larry Bird advised, she'll keep her head down, tune out the critics, and let her game do the talking. There's a new firestorm in the WNBA, and it's all because of one name, Caitlin Clark. She's broken records, drawn crowds, and transformed the game. But her journey hasn't been easy. NBA legends, including Michael Jordan, have stepped forward, making jaw-dropping statements about Clark's impact and the resistance she faces. What MJ had to say is something no one saw coming, and it's changed everything. But he's not alone. From Shaquille O'Neal to Reggie Miller, the basketball world has been forced to address Clark's undeniable talent and the jealousy brewing around her. Stay tuned, because by the end, you'll see why Caitlin's story is just beginning. Let's rewind to the beginning of Caitlin Clark's WNBA journey. Right from her first season, Clark didn't just play, she dominated. Her shooting range, her swagger, her relentless drive. It was like watching the female version of Steph Curry. And the NBA legends, they noticed. Take Rick Barry, a Hall of Famer known for his unfiltered opinions. When he first saw Clark's performance, he didn't hold back his thoughts. Look, Caitlin Clark is what this league has needed, Barry stated. She's the spark. But here's the truth. Many in the WNBA can't handle it. They're threatened, plain and simple.
They start packing in and getting those kinds of things, getting the TV deals. Then the money is there to raise the entire salary because they get sharing in the revenue. I mean, come on, what she's doing, she's helping every one of you.
Barry's words hit hard, but he was only scratching the surface. His bold statement hinted at something deeper, a divide growing in women's basketball as Clark's popularity soared. Therefore, it wasn't just admiration from fans she earned, she also stirred up envy. And Barry didn't hesitate to call it out. According to him, certain WNBA players weren't ready to embrace Caitlin's influence, and that resentment was becoming a dangerous game.
I think it's reprehensible what they're allowing some of these players to. Anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady for what she's brought to the game should be suspended and fined big time for doing that.
But Rick Barry wasn't the only one. Shaquille O'Neal, the Big Diesel himself, dropped his own bombshell on Angel Reese's podcast. It was a conversation no one expected. Shaq looked directly at Reese, one of Clark's most vocal rivals, and defended Caitlin with a passion that left fans stunned.
And I was a hater because, you know, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot. And bam, like, damn, she's not going to hit that shot. Man, like, if I say 10 times you're not going to hit the shot and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth. So I'm telling you now, if you just lower it like this. Why do you think people love Caitlin Clark besides her skills?
She can shoot threes from logo.
You never seen that before. That's my point. Steph Curry.
You know, I've been watching her, Shaq said. And let me tell you, if you're hating on Caitlin Clark, you're just not seeing the big picture. She's pushing this league forward. Imagine the silence on set. Shaq, a legend of the men's game, challenged the WNBA's own players, suggesting they're missing the point. Therefore, as Caitlin Clark's name spread across households, her impact couldn't be ignored, even if some WNBA players wished it could be. But it wasn't just admiration that followed her, it was controversy too. Celtics legend Paul Pierce added fuel to the fire with comments that crossed a line for many fans. Pierce questioned Clark's merit for a U.S. Olympic team spot, hinting that her popularity, not skill, was the driving factor.
You claim you want the women's game to grow, and then you keep the most popular girl in women's basketball off the team. How do you grow internationally and domestically if you don't put her on the U.S. team? It just makes the most sense. Sometimes you have to say, hey guys, this is bigger than the game, which it is. I mean, women's basketball is at an all-time high because of Caitlin Clark.
Women's basketball's popularity is at an all-time high. And yeah, a lot of that's due to Caitlin, Pierce admitted. But are we saying she earned it? I'm not so sure. The backlash was swift. Fans, analysts, and former players erupted, accusing Pierce of disrespecting a rising star. But Pierce was unapologetic. He argued that Caitlin was good for marketing, yes, but hinted that her game wasn't enough by itself to secure her spot among the best. Here's where things get even more intense. When Pierce's comments hit the headlines, Dwight Howard stepped in with his perspective. He called Pierce's take short-sighted, and instead of criticizing, he encouraged Caitlin to use this snub as fuel.
She is a great player, but it's a lot of players that, no lie, who, as far as basketball-wise, they have the edge over her of why they should be playing in the Olympics right now. Mind you, this should motivate her. This should make her go harder in the gym. The 3 weeks that they off, she should get in better shape.
You know, sometimes getting left off can be a blessing, Howard explained. Now she's got this hunger, and if she can use it right, she'll come back even stronger. Howard's words were almost prophetic. Caitlin returned from the break with a fire that took her performance to new heights. But while legends like Howard offered advice, some voices in the WNBA refused to back down. For every player who welcomed Clark, there seemed to be another trying to knock her down. Enter Reggie Miller. Known for his no-nonsense style and love of tough competition, Miller was less sympathetic. He bluntly stated that Clark needed to toughen up and accept that professional leagues don't hand out respect, you earn it.
What did you expect was going to happen to her? Number one, I don't think it's jealousy. Oh my God, she's getting all the endorsements. We're going to go after her. You're playing at the highest level. You're playing in the WNBA. You're coming from college and you're going to the pro ranks, right? What did she expect was going to happen? Why are people so shocked, right? You're playing against grown women. The same thing happened to us.
What did she expect? Miller remarked. This is the pros. If you're going to be the face of the league, you've got to take the hits. We all did. Miller's old-school perspective created more controversy. Fans argued that Clark wasn't just facing competition, she was enduring hostility far beyond normal rookie treatment. Therefore, Miller's stance felt like a throwback to a time when players battled with elbows out. And while his message was to toughen up, some fans couldn't help but feel it overlooked the unique challenges Caitlin faced. As the season continued, Caitlin Clark's name was everywhere. Headlines, social media, talk shows. The buzz was unstoppable, but with fame came scrutiny. And no one embodies scrutiny better than Charles Barkley. Barkley, known for his blunt, sometimes brutal honesty, saw what was happening to Caitlin and didn't hold back.
And the thing I love about her, she never says a word. And now, when I watch her, two things I like. She's playing much faster. She was playing too slow the first half of the season.
From the college season.
They didn't even give her the understanding, like, you girls been worded for the WNBA season. Y'all been working out on the no-stress. She came straight out of college.
Look, it's one thing to play hard, but what these girls are doing to Caitlin, that's something else. It's not basketball, it's jealousy, plain and simple, Barkley exclaimed on national TV. But he didn't stop there. He called out those he saw as petty and accused some WNBA players of taking unnecessary shots at Caitlin, both on and off the court.
You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty, girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world. Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA. Don't be petty like dudes.
Y'all should be thanking this girl for putting money in your pockets. She's making the league relevant. The statement set off a firestorm. Barkley's words struck a nerve, and fans flooded social media, either agreeing with him wholeheartedly or claiming he was exaggerating. But Barkley wasn't interested in sugarcoating things. According to him, Caitlin was a trailblazer, and instead of embracing her, certain players were too busy trying to protect their turf. Therefore, as Barkley put it, the WNBA was at risk of letting petty rivalries overshadow the bigger picture.
We cannot have this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse. If they try, people believe what we say on television. Just because people don't like you or your personality, they can't get on TV and slander you. It's just total bullshit. This girl is incredible. The number of attention, eyeballs, she's brought to college and the pros, and for these women to have this petty jealousness, you say to yourself, damn, what is going on here?
And then just when the debate couldn't get any hotter, Michael Jordan finally entered the conversation. The sports world froze. This was of Michael Jordan, the man whose legacy is unmatched, speaking directly about Caitlin Clark. In a rare interview, MJ didn't just praise Clark's skill, he called for a shift in the entire league's approach to her. Caitlin's got that killer instinct, Jordan said. You can't teach that, and the WNBA needs to make sure they protect that. Jordan's words carried weight, his legacy, his influence, his understanding of greatness. He called for changes in officiating, emphasizing that Caitlin deserved the same respect and protection on the court as any other player. He even went as far as to say, if the league doesn't stand behind her, they'll lose one of the biggest assets they've ever had. Jordan's comment echoed across the sports world, sparking discussions on fairness, legacy, and the role of young stars in shaping the future. Therefore, with MJ's support, Caitlin's fight became a symbol of something greater. It was no longer just about her, it was about creating a space for talent to thrive, free from hostility and judgment. And while Jordan's words inspired countless fans, Caitlin still faced resistance. Reggie Miller doubled down, maintaining that Clark's journey required grit and resilience. But Steph Curry, the NBA's three-point king, offered a different perspective. Curry had been compared to Caitlin numerous times, with people calling her the female Steph Curry due to her incredible shooting range. When asked about Caitlin, Steph didn't hesitate.
I saw somebody break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine. You can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair. Like, she's a performer. It's crazy though, just because her shot is it's like that. It's at that level. If you really watch, like her floor game is as impressive. So it's kind of the total package, and her being the French breaking that record and the amount of attention that she has gained over the course of these last couple of years. Every building she goes into, there's a different energy. Like, it's great for her, great for women's basketball.
To play like she does, that takes something special. It's not just about shooting, it's about heart, it's about leading, and it's about handling the pressure. Curry's words rang true. He understood that beyond talent, Caitlin's impact was about changing perceptions, shifting how people viewed women's basketball. Therefore, his support validated Caitlin's journey, showing that even in the face of criticism, the game's best recognized her potential. But even as the support grew, some were still unwilling to fully accept her. Larry Bird, a legend of Indiana and a WNBA supporter, shared his own tough love approach. When asked about Clark, Bird was respectful yet firm. "She's got the skills, no doubt," Bird stated. "But let's be real. Greatness doesn't come easy. She's going to face a lot, and it's up to her to prove she belongs at the top." Bird's words reminded everyone that Caitlin's journey wouldn't be smooth. She'd have to prove herself, not just to her teammates, but to the world watching her every move. But his comments also carried a sense of hope, that if Caitlin could endure the trials, she'd come out stronger than ever. As the season approached its climax, Caitlin found herself surrounded by mixed voices, some cheering her on, others doubting her place. It was a storm that could make or break any player. But Caitlin didn't back down. With each game, she sharpened her skills, learned from her mistakes, and slowly transformed doubt into respect. And now, as the season reached its peak, Caitlin had one last surprise for the world. During a high-stakes playoff game, she showcased the very qualities that legends like Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, and Steph Curry saw in her all along. Her shooting was sharper than ever, her passes flawless, and her ability to read the game was unmatched. The crowd was electric, and every point she scored sent a message. Caitlin Clark was here to stay. But the real moment? It wasn't just about points on the scoreboard. It was the look of realization on her opponents' faces, the sense that they finally understood why so many legends had come forward to defend her. Her journey had been tough, but she had earned her place. As the final whistle blew, Michael Jordan's words lingered in the minds of fans, critics, and players alike. The WNBA needs to protect her. And as Caitlin walked off the court, her head held high, fans couldn't help but wonder, what's next? With every challenge she faced, Caitlin Clark proved that she was more than just a player. She was a force, a new chapter in the story of basketball. But the question remains, will the WNBA rise to the occasion and support its rising star? Or will Caitlin's journey continue to be one she fights alone? Stay tuned, because Caitlin Clark's story is far from over, and the next chapter promises to be even more groundbreaking.